just to show you that they're just a million pieces when disassembling and restoring a car. As an example, the taillights. So the taillights all need to be re-chromed because when you look at them, they get really pitted. I mean, they're just exposed to the elements and corrode. And these things are, I believe they're cast or die-cast zinc. It's an alloy where it's a really easy material to cast, and these are just cast in molds. But they're also kind of porous. So what happens is they pit as the softer cast material starts to corrode. It pushes up all the zinc, or pushes up all the chrome rather, and really starts to get pitted. So before I can send these out for chrome, they come completely assembled. You know, they have the lights attached, they have the light bulbs, they have the lenses attached, they have the gaskets that are in there that need to come out, and then any issues that I see with it, I have to fix. The other thing is you can't send these things out with the lights inside or the fixtures. So these fixtures that are crimped, if you look inside here, they're crimped down at the bottom. And then when they were installed, there was a special machine, I'm sure, that went in there and spread those little teeth out and grounded the light fixture to the light bulb fixture to the whole assembly. Well, I got to take those things out because I can't send that to the chrome plater, because chrome plating requires this whole piece to be dipped into acid and stripped of the original chrome layer. And then once the chrome is stripped, then they can polish out all the pits. They can fill in the pits. Whether they silver solder them or they have their filler rods or whatever the chrome plater does, his process. You can't put this whole thing with the light bulb fixture in it, because the acid will just eat this to nothing. I mean, this will just disappear. So you have to take these out. The problem with taking them out is these little tabs will tend to break if you bend them too far. So I sit here carefully with a pick and hammer and all sorts of little tools that I have to just drive them out and pry the lips out one piece at a time, just enough to clear that hole. When this thing comes back, I've got to put them all back and re-crimp them back into place. So and that'll have to be another process when this comes back. But just to show you that is another step that has to happen. The other thing that has to happen is I like to take these studs out of the back. These are the ones that secure the fixture to the body of the car. Well, if I leave these in, like I said, they send these to the plater, and all of a sudden, when they dip this thing in acid, these threads will disappear. And then all of a sudden, the nuts don't screw onto there. So, well, that doesn't help me at all. So the best way is to remove them and send out just the piece for the chrome plater to work on. And so it takes time. It's just a lot of process. When you look at these things and you look at the way they're assembled, and when you have another car that has reproduction pieces, these things are part of what that cost of doing all these add up to. When you get a newly restored or newly fabricated or manufactured or reproduction part, when you don't have these things, because these things are not easy to find. These you have to, with Ferrari, they only came on a few cars. These are the ones that have to be restored. So I have to go through all the extra steps of disassembling this thing just so that I can actually get it to a restorable condition so that I can send it to my chrome plater and so he can do his part. While I'm putting together the chrome pieces, here's another example of stuff that we have to do to prep. These are the side trim pieces that are made out of brass, and it's a kind of a U-shaped piece of trim that has these little studs that are threaded, and they are and they're mounted on the back of these pieces. So before I send them out for chrome plating, a lot of times when these are removed, they get bent, they get tweaked, and the only time to really fix them is now, before we go ahead and send it in for plating. And if you look closely, when they're tightened against the car, they can tend to distort this just slightly. Now, the top side of it has been flattened out, so that it's been filed and taken the distortion out. But if you look closely on the side, you can see that it's just a little tweak, just simply because of the force of the stud that was pulled down. But visually on the front side of it, we flattened it so that it doesn't have that bow anymore. But that was done to fit to the car. The other thing that we've done is I had my plater, or my metal fabricator, fix these studs, because some of them, they get rusty and they get pulled, or the thread strip, and now's the time to install new studs. We do them after the stripping, because what happens is, when these were chrome plated and we left it, and you leave the studs on there, when you dip the whole thing in acid, not only does the acid take the chrome off, but it also takes a little bit of the stud material off. So all of a sudden, I've had this where I've gotten a freshly chromed piece. I have these studs in, and I go to thread these tiny little, I think they're M3 nuts, and they won't hold down on the threads because the threads are gone. These are such small threads that just the acid bath of removing the first chrome plating takes enough of the thread off that you can't even thread the nut on. So we've learned to not fix the threads until after these have been chrome. The original chrome has been removed. It's in this position. It's okay for us simply because we straighten them out anyway when the chrome is off of it. So when this is all off, we can straighten it, get it to fit the car, take all the marks out of it, get it relatively smooth. There's still a little bit of marking on the top of this, but that's going to have to be filed and done during the plating process, because what's going to happen is my plater is then going to take it in this position with the brass. He's going to plate them with copper, file it, and check to make sure that everything's nice and smooth and the copper plating. And then at that point, he's going to put the final nickel and chromium plating. So on this one, same thing. New studs have been installed. They're just being protected with a little bit of tape. But yeah, through the years, we just learned the process of how to do this and not get stuck when it's all plated and installed. But another step of little details that you have to cover. While the chrome plating pieces are out, I need to determine whether or not I can save these lenses. They look pretty nasty and dirty, and I don't know what the heck this is. I think this is just, I don't even know if this is gasket material or somebody had added some kind of sealant or something to the bottom of this. And I'm hoping this stuff will dissolve and come out. I've had pretty good luck. They're not too faded. The orange is still there. This is orange and red. It's not bad. I've seen them where they're pretty faded and they might not come back, but actually this one has a crack in it, so this one we might not be able to save this one because of the crack, but we're gonna clean it up a little bit. I believe I can find these. I'm gonna see whether or not these are available in reproduction. I may even have one in my stash, but I'll take a look. But and sometimes with these cracks, it's like you know, the owner is gonna decide whether or not he should replace this with a new one because of the crack, or is he okay with it. Some people say, oh, well, I'm not going to notice it, so you know, go ahead and I'll save this one. But I'll ask the owner, or the owner will see this video and they'll say, no, replace it, or I'm okay with it. But these are the next step. I got to figure out if these are salvageable, or if I have to start the hunt to find the reproduction. These will polish up very nicely once I clean it up, but first I got to get this gunk off. So another step of finding what's up. Another little project that is pretty labor intensive are these little U-joints for the steering shaft. So I'm putting the car together, and when I first took these things apart, I taped them together, but inside these U-joints are a bunch of tiny little needle bearings. It's you know, pretty filthy, dirty, and crusty, so I got to first disassemble them. And you go back and there's a broken stud, so one of the bolts As you can see here, it's all crusted and safety wired together. I don't know if you can see that, but one of the studs here broke off. The head broke off. So I'm gonna try to grab it with a pair of vice grips and see if it'll unlock. But these are the tiny little things that need, you know, attention. Once I get these off, when I pull this off carefully, you can see it's all dry. Inside are a bunch of little needle bearings, just like you would find in a U-joint, just tiny. So I've got to carefully fish them all out, clean this off. This surface usually is pretty good. This is, you know, it just hasn't seen a lot of grease in there through the ages. But and then what usually happens in here is there's like a little cork gasket in there that I can either save or manufacture a new one. But a lot of little fiddly pieces that you know need to come apart and fixed and put back together. So I'm going to start on this a little bit. So since everything's kind of dry, I'm going to try to pick this out and pull the needle bearings out. Yeah, it looks like this cork gasket is super dry and super, I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to save this. Yeah, it's just crumbling apart. So that's on the list. I guess we'll have to make a new gasket. See, there it goes. That's a cork gasket. Just all the needle bearings in here. Just got to get one of them out. Pick one of them out. There it goes. And start pulling these needle bearings out. The nice thing about these, even though it's a lot of little fiddly pieces, it's easily rebuildable. I mean, I'm going to check to make sure that the chrome plating on these needle bearings are decent. It looks pretty dry, but we'll clean them all off. And then once we clean it off, we'll see what kind of shape they're in. But generally, they can be saved. The main thing is not losing any of them, so I'm really trying to be careful. I usually use electrical tape just to secure them when I disassemble it or take it off from the car, because you don't want these little caps popping off. As you can see, all these are loose. Really easy to lose one. And there's no grease in there whatsoever, so they don't really want to stay captured in there without grease. So like I said, always try my best. Here's the ring. Try my best to tape everything together so we don't lose any parts. Sometimes this retaining ring pops out, sometimes it doesn't. So for now, I'll do what I can. If it pops out, it pops out. If it doesn't, then I'll worry about it later. My main concern at this point is just to make sure that all the needle bearings come out safely. All right, so this one, I just cut the safety wire Okay, so now I just got to take this. I don't think this is going to come out with just a regular, with my hand. I probably have to put this in the vise. Oh, it did turn. Let's see if I can get the other one. The most important thing is that you clean out the dirt inside the Allen screw, because if you don't have it seated all the way in, there's a really good chance of stripping that. You want to give this thing the best shot it has. Yeah, you could feel that one's pretty tight. So I'm gonna mess with that one a little bit later on the vise. This one I'm gonna try. Let's see how tight this one is. Yeah, I'm gonna go put this on a vise. I'll be right back. I got it all out. Didn't need to necessarily see how it was all done, but I'll show you quickly. Once you get this thing in, once you get the Allen wrench in, you know, sometimes you just can't get enough torque. So what you do is you just get a smaller wrench that'll fit, and that'll give you a lot more leverage to turn it. And once it's in a vise, it'll come out pretty easily. I've also cut down this Allen wrench short, so that way it's a lot less sideways torquing where it can actually twist out of the way. When it's that close, it gives you a much better direct turn. So it definitely helps a little bit to keep it from torquing out of the Allen head. And we'll clean those all out. Now, to get these out, let me see if this will pop out with just a little bit of prying. Yep, there it goes. So that one's out. That one's out. Carefully remove one of these out. We'll pull the needle bearings. These are all so super dry. Like no oil or grease in here at all. So another rewarding thing about all this is that this thing is so dry, and it's so nice to be able to take it all apart. Just do this little bit of work, put some grease back in there, pack everything up, and all of a sudden this joint, this U-joint is going to work so nicely. And it really is rewarding. You know, take this tiny little rusty piece, and all it takes is just a little bit of time of disassembly, and it'll really respond well to just a little bit of care. It's like saying, you know, it just needs a little bit of love, that's all. And you could see how dry this thing still worked, even though there's no grease in here. But once I get all these parts cleaned up, washed out, and reassembled, you know, I think about it, it's like this thing probably hasn't gotten greased in 60 years. 50. Let's see, what year is this? 60, yeah, about 50, 55, 58 years. So the thing is, you know, put some grease in it, and it could be good to go for another 50 some odd years. All right, so everything's disassembled. I got all the needle bearings in here. All this stuff is just going to come apart and cleaned up in my wash tank. And we'll take these gaskets out, probably make some new ones. I got some, just have like a little punch, and I'll make these out of cork. So I didn't know if you wanted to see me put a whole bunch of tiny little needle bearings, clean them all up and put them in there, but it's all done. Didn't lose any, thank goodness, and got everything packed in. And what I also made were these little cork gaskets, and they will go right into here. I just made them with my punch, and what they'll do is they will reassemble back into there. Kind of have to, it's a little tight, and it goes right in. You can hear it pushing the grease. It's nice and sealed. You can see it squirting out of the other side. So I'm going to put these all back together like that. already packed it all with grease, so what's going to happen is as I push these on, they'll kind of pack a little bit more grease in there. We'll just put a little bit extra in here. And what's going to happen is that grease is going to push through here and push out the other side. And the last one I put in actually doesn't need much, because if I put too much in there, it's going to hydrolock in there, so don't necessarily need to put more than I have to. Well, I think something became dislodged. Let me check that. Just want to make sure all the bearings are in place. Yeah, they feel right. Okay, so it just wasn't lining up in there, so put that back in. Let's try it again. There it goes. So now all this is back together. My glove is splitting, so it's just in time because I got everything back together. The distance is correct. When I snap those back into place, put the bolts in, and it'll be perfect. So got that rebuilt, and everything feels nice and tight. I'm gonna put that all back together. So that's another step. You know, by the way, I pulled that little stud out that was sheared off before. So all this is kind of getting ready to go, and I'll just keep putting the steering column back together. Another step towards finishing up this car. Thanks for watching.